So before we get too deep into this video, I want to thank you guys for your constant support. If you are new here or just haven't hit the subscribe button yet, please be sure to do that. We're on the road to 500,000 subscribers, and I hope to have you come along with me. Now, without any further ado, let's get into today's video. Nintendo Directs. I made a video a couple weeks ago that kind of made some people upset, some content creators, some people on Twitter, but I don't care. I don't care if you get upset, because I always feel like if you get genuinely upset at something I say, you're probably guilty of it yourself. And that, of course, has to do with the Nintendo Direct madness and hoopla. Like, yes, I get it. It's the start of a new year. Yes, I get it. I was probably guilty of things like this myself in the past, but I've come to a realization that, you know, things sometimes take time, and they're going to happen when they decide to happen. I have seen so many people speculating about Nintendo Directs, Nintendo Direct dates. There's already been like 4 Directs that have already been supposed to happen because it was going to happen this particular week, and I'm pretty sure about it, but then it didn't happen, and this, that, and the other, and it's just like, holy crap, man, let these things breathe a little bit. Let things just sort of play out the way they're supposed to play out. But I guess to the contrary of all of that, obviously a Direct is going to happen at some point in time. I mean, you have one game coming out in the month of May. That's the furthest out game that we know about that actually has a release date. That, of course, being The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. So Nintendo does need to talk about some other stuff. You know, if we look at the lineup of games right now, Fire Emblem has already come out. You, of course, have the Kirby game coming out sometime. I believe it's in March. Then, of course, you have Tears of the Kingdom coming out in May, and that's pretty much it. There is a Pikmin game that's waiting on the back burner, Pikmin 4, which, I don't know, I can't get excited about a Pikmin game. I'm sorry. If you love Pikmin, I am happy for you. I am proud of you. But just for me personally, I don't care about Pikmin. I've never cared about Pikmin, and Pikmin 4 is going to do nothing to make me care about it. But we're not here to talk about Pikmin 4 and my beef with Pikmin. We're here to talk about the Nintendo Direct, because like I said, there is going to be one. I mean, if you just look at it from a chronological standpoint, obviously Nintendo usually does a Direct in the month of February, so it shouldn't have come as like a huge shock to people. But now there is some information that has people wondering, well, is it coming sooner rather than later? Which, I mean, January is almost done, so, you know, God almighty. But this information is actually coming to us from the Family boards, and it's basically some sort of interesting things that have some stuff going on within the eShop, because the eShop is obviously Nintendo's way of buying games digitally and stuff like that. And according to a report that was done by people over on the Family boards, Advance Wars 1+2 Reboot Camp and The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom have been recently altered with new NSUIDs. Now, an NSUID is basically something that identifies and differentiates a game and whatever region that game is going to be in. So, you know, if you have a Japanese account for your Nintendo Switch, it would be the Japanese version versus the North American version, so on and so forth. But usually, when the NSUID codes gets updated, that means that something's about to happen, usually involving pre-orders. Now, there's obviously 2 games to take away from this equation. Like the 2 games I mentioned, you have Advance Wars, and then you have The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. Now, Advance Wars, I think, is the more interesting one, more so than just Tears of the Kingdom, because, you know, with Tears of the Kingdom, how many times, take a shot every time I say Tears of the Kingdom. With Tears of the Kingdom, we know when this game's coming out. It's coming out on May 12th. Like, this isn't a surprise. You can go on any website right now, GameStop, freaking Best Buy, and pre-order your copy of Tears of the Kingdom. So that's not a huge surprise that pre-orders are going to open for that soon. But Advance Wars 1+2 Reboot Camp, that one's a bit more interesting in my opinion, because of the fact that, well, this game was already supposed to be out. I should have already played and beaten this game, checked out the online components of it, and made a video on it. But of course, real world situations kind of impacted all of that stuff, and the game still hasn't come out. How long are they going to sit on the game? You know, I feel like at some point in time, you just got to be like, you know what? It's a cartoony war style game. Just throw it out there. War games are still coming out. Amass all the things happening within the world. Like, you could be, you know, sensitive towards it and understanding towards it, but at some point in time, unless they're just going to cancel the game completely, like, you got to do something with it. So I think that getting an update in the back end is an interesting thing, and I do think that is probably a bigger sign, maybe something more indicative of a Nintendo Direct, more so than the Tears of the Kingdom stuff, because like I said, Tears of the Kingdom is a foregone conclusion. Unless that game gets delayed again, which I don't see it happening, this is something that we're all expecting. Now, I do wonder, though, what kind of Nintendo Direct this would be. Because I don't think it's a foregone conclusion that it'll be a full-on Direct. And I don't even necessarily think that there's going to be a bunch of Zelda stuff at this upcoming Direct. And you might think, well, that's ridiculous. You know, how could you say that? But I think a lot of people are anticipating that like half of this Direct is going to be based on Tears of the Kingdom. I just feel like Nintendo would make their own separate presentation for that game. You know, that's a game that you obviously have a lot of stuff you want to talk about with it. That's a game that you obviously have a story, you have new gameplay elements, you have a whole bunch of stuff, because this game is still shrouded in mystery. A game like Advance Wars 1+2 Reboot Camp, you just put out a trailer, you're like, oh, now it's available, it's coming out in a couple days or a week or something. Like, that's fine, you know, you move on with your life. You already know what to expect with that game. But with Tears of the Kingdom, I feel like it needs its own presentation. You could do like a 1 minute like little teaser trailer, but I feel like whatever you do for this game, there needs to be a bigger presentation that sort of breaks everything down, that tells you, you know, the stuff involving it. And of course, there's going to be, you know, collector's editions. There's going to be probably a system too. I know some people think that Switch OLED is fake that we took a look at. That was allegedly a leaked Switch OLED Zelda variant. I guarantee you they're going to do a Zelda variant for this system, because I really do feel like this is sort of a swan song for the Switch. Like, yes, there will, I'm not saying that there's not going to be games that come out after this game, games like Pikmin 4 and stuff like that, but I don't expect anything huge and massive, and I could be wrong on that. And if I am wrong on that, that's fine. You know, this is just my opinion on it. But I think when you look at it from a historical perspective and just how the kind of Zelda games have been throughout, you know, since the GameCube era, Zelda games are usually the big ending game, and then they move on to the next thing, or it's a starting game for a system. The last time that there was any sort of leeway was Skyward Sword for the Wii. Skyward Sword for the Wii came out. Nintendo still made Wii games, but a year later, the Wii U launched. So it really was the swan song for the Nintendo Wii. But I don't know. I am interested to see what Nintendo is going to do in 2023. Obviously, I haven't been talking as much about Nintendo stuff lately because I wouldn't say I'm losing interest in it, but I just feel a bit bored. I have been playing Fire Emblem Engage. I really enjoy it, actually. I probably should have made a video on it. It didn't fit into my schedule, though, and if I make one now, nobody's going to watch it. But I do enjoy Fire Emblem Engage. The fact that it's a much more streamlined experience. None of this hokey-pokey nonsense with the schools and stuff. I know a lot of people like that sort of stuff. I went to school when I was a kid. I don't need to relive school. It's not for me. But I think this is going to be a big year for Nintendo, because something's got to give, man. Something has to give. And what we know is interesting, but I feel like the unknown is just as interesting, if not more so, than what we have for this year. So let me know in the comments section down below what you think. Do you think that these, you know, updated information in the back end of the Nintendo Switch eShop stuff, is this relevant to the Nintendo Direct coming, or is it circumstantial sort of stuff? Do you think that Tears of the Kingdom is going to be the focal point of this Direct, or is it going to get its own presentation and maybe just a little bit of a teaser trailer? Look at Splatoon 3. Splatoon 3 had a thing like a month before the game came out. That was like a full-on thing with it. And, you know, up until then, we didn't really know many of the differences. And as always, guys, thank you for checking out this video. If you are new to the channel, be sure to hit that subscribe button, like, comment, and share. Hit the bell notification as well. Thank you for all your well wishes about my health and stuff like that. Every day I feel a little bit better. Still not 100%. Kind of, you know, my head is kind of in a fog a lot of the times too. But we'll get through this fog, and we will get through this together. And as always, I'll catch you guys on the next video. Hit that subscribe button if you haven't. Later.